Hey everybody, and this is our 10th lesson, and you have already learned something, which is great, so we can move forward. But don't forget about vocabulary, reading, listening, and of course, speaking. Okay, today our topic is conditional sentences, and this one is very important. And if you have some, kind of mathematical knowledge, then this one will be very easy for you. Because, yeah, in this case, we will talk about some formulas, but not about, some sinus, cosinus, not like this. English formulas, because conditional sentences they consist of two parts, and I'm sure we have already talked about some sentences which actually consist of two parts, but in this case, conditional sentences. It means that we have one part and the other part, or it can be even more than two parts. But anyway, the formula. For example, if in the first part you use present simple, then in the second part you can use future simple. So this will be some easy formulas. So, but it's more about grammar, but we also need to take into consideration some sense. So why? So what I'm talking about is that in order to be kind of fluent in conditional sentences, we need to talk about first formulas, which is grammar, and sense, which is more about vocabulary. Okay, so let's get started. Conditional sentences express the consequences of a factual or hypothetical situation. For example, if we win tomorrow, I will cry with happiness. Just think about the translation of this sentence, because if you translate this accurately into Ukrainian, you will understand that the first part is translated in the future to our native language, but here there is no future. So we have two parts, and both of them are translated in the future in our native language. But in English, this future part happens only once in the second part here. You see, I will cry. But in the first part, I don't say if we will win, because this is a mistake. This is really enormous mistake. But why? Let's talk about this. Because as you remember, the conditional sentence, consists of two parts, and let's give these parts some names. So we have first name main, close, main part, let's say, and the other part will be called as subordinate part. So main and subordinate. What's the difference? Main part can exist just itself. I mean, without subordinate part. And the first rule you are receiving actually right now is that in the subordinate part we cannot use future. So it means there is no will. Okay, but we will cover this material a little bit seriously when we talk, not when we will talk, because again this is a mistake, but when we talk about first conditional sentence. But to start, let's talk about conditional sentences in general, and they are used to talk about the conditions of a real, unreal, or possible action, or about our desires. So we have how many three examples here. If the spring was warm, it would be possible to swim in Odessa very soon. Okay, remember about mathematics? Just check this sentence, the first sentence. The first part of the first sentence is in what tense? Past. Was. To be for past, right? But the second part is would and just the verb in the first form. So this is the formula for the second conditional sentence, and when we okay, I mean in a few minutes we'll talk about this. Let's right now talk about the second one. If it rains again today, I'll stay home. And this structure is kind of different because we have the first part, which is in what tense? Rains, present simple. And the second part, future simple. So this is another formula, and this one stands for the first conditional sentence. And the last one, if you heat water to 100 degrees, it boils. Again, we have two parts. I think these two parts are very easy to recognize because we have comma. But again, this comma won't be here forever because it depends on the order of these parts. Because if you say any of the sentence, like, backwards, then there is no comma. Like if you say, I will stay home if it rains again today, then there is no comma. But anyway, the last sentence here, if you hit water to blah 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 blah, you have present simple and present simple, and this is the zero conditional sentences. And so now you realize that we have different sentences and different formulas and of course different sense. So this is all you need to know. I'm joking, of course, but anyway, let's talk about each of these conditional sentences more precisely, so you understand everything. But anyway, here's only three. I mean, we have only three sentences here, but conditionals, not three, like 0, first, second, third, mixed, 5. Okay, let's go. And here we go. You can see the band of conditional sentences. 0, first, second, third. 0. If you touch a fire, you get burned. So I'll let you know about each of them, as I told you, more precisely in the next slides. But anyway, just follow this thread. What do I mean? Just pay attention to sentences, to tenses in different parts. Present simple, okay? First conditional. If I study today, present simple, I will go to the party tonight, future simple. Second conditional. She would travel, would plus just the verb in the first form, just, bare infinitive. You know what is bare infinitive? I hope yes. If you have questions, you can let me know. But anyway, next. All over the world, if she were rich. So, were rich, past simple. And pay attention to this collocation, all over the world. You can say this about countries or some area. If you mean that everything is covered, you say all over Ukraine. It means in every part of Ukraine. All over the world, it means everywhere on our globe, So very good construction, because sometimes people say entire world, and this can, sound a little bit weird. Or the whole world. Maybe this one is acceptable, but the best way to say this all over and the area. Okay, in the third conditional sentence, which is the most complicated one, if we had taken a taxi, we wouldn't have missed the plane. So a lot of auxiliary verbs, and maybe you're struggled with this stuff, but don't be scared. Why? Because had taken, that's pretty easy. Past perfect. Do you remember what is past perfect? When we have two actions, both of them are in the past, and one of them happened earlier, and one of them happened closer to the present. And this one that happened earlier is not in past simple. This one is past perfect. So here's just our past perfect, had, and the verb in the third form. And after this, we have would have and verb in the third form. So here you need to memorize two words in a row. In a row means one by one, yes? Would have. Or if you have a negative statement, you say wouldn't. Okay, I hope everything is clear now. Moving next. That what I was talking about. Conditional sentence, main clause and subordinate clause. Or if. We will win if we donate more money to the army. So we will win, and you can just put a dot in the end. At the end, it's better to say at the end. Yeah, we will win and dot, because the sentence is just accurate. That's enough. But if you add some more, something like additionally, you say if we donate more money. So it means you have a condition, and this condition can be described in different ways. So this is what conditional sentences stand for. Subordinate clause cannot exist without the main clause, because you cannot just say if we donate money to the army and what. If you just finish your sentence, it sounds odd. So don't say like this. And memorize that in this subordinate clause there is no will, never. Okay, sometimes it happens, but don't take it into consideration because it's quite difficult, and it's pretty enough to know this. So no future in this green area. More examples. If I meet him, I'll tell him about our meeting. So what's in the result? Result is that this green area, or in easier words, if is a subordinate part. If you have if, then this one is subordinate. Or another example, I'll tell him about our meeting if I meet him. Again, if, you see, so where we have if, this one is subordinate. Okay, comma. We use comma, we don't use comma. Situations. If the train is delayed, she will be late. She will be late if the train is delayed. I think you have eyes and you can notice the difference, right? If the sentence starts with the subordinate part, subordinate clause, which is if, then after this part you put comma. Otherwise, there is no comma. Okay, it's high time we talked about each of these conditional sentences. So, unlike other types, zero-type conditional sentences state facts. What are the facts? If you say something and this something is 100% true all the time, it's some kind of fact or a statement that is correct forever, then this is the zero. If you put water in the freezer, it turns into ice. It's just some well-known fact, and it happens everywhere. Here in Ukraine, in the United States, 100 years ago, now, doesn't matter. So this is a fact. And talking about facts, you use zero-type conditional sentences, which is present simple, present simple. You see the formula? Mathematics. If plus present simple plus present simple. And another example, when the sun goes down, it gets dark. Correct, because there is no sun in the sky, so it's dark. So again, it's a fact. But if you have some facts just about yourself, just anything that happens all the time, you can use this type. I mean, not only talking about some scientific facts, some theorems, or mathematics, physics. Yeah, of course, that's correct. But you can also use this type for describing your life events that take place all the time. But there is one, little point, but very useful, that you need to know. Present simple is quite rude because sometimes the main thing is present, but this present may be not only simple. What about continuous or simple? Okay, simple, yeah, perfect. So first example, if you're running a marathon, you need to drink plenty of water. Plenty of water means a lot of water, so it's even more than a lot of. Okay, so you notice this duration, this progress. If you are running, this running takes time, so it's better to use continuous here instead of just simple. So it's not a problem, but anyway, follow this collocation, follow this construction. If present, this one matters, and you can change this formula only in the subordinate clause, only after if, not in the other part. So present, simple, continuous, perfect, but the main clause is in the present simple, forever. And example with another one, if I have heard an alarm clock, I know it's time to get up. So if I had heard, why present perfect? Because anyway, I hope you guys remember rules about present perfect and its usage. But anyway, if you have some result in present because of some action in the past, you use present perfect. So here is the result. If I have heard, it means maybe the person haven't heard, right, the alarm clock, and something bad happened because the person needed to wake up sometime. But anyway, result present perfect. So I say if I have heard. But anyway, if it's if you say like if I hear an alarm clock, I know that this one works. Yes, this one works. And if you say, if you run a marathon, but to be, to sound more clear, to sound better, it's not a problem if you change the subordinate part and it's present, and you use not only present simple but other present tenses. Modal verbs or imperatives can also be used in the main part. It means that you can substitute this would or other word. Just modal verbs are auxiliary verbs, right? So you can use them again in this situation. If you're running a marathon, you should drink plenty of water. Should, it's some kind of advice. So you can, if you are given an advice, you can say should, you had better drink plenty of water, something like this. Or if you're running a marathon, drink plenty of water. Imperative, it means when you say something to any person, just strictly, like you must do it. So imperative. I hope you know what do you do in order to make this imperative. Just a word like drink more water, don't yell at me, and other examples. Okay. Indicates an event that will occur is the same as happen, that will happen if the condition in the subordinate clause is met. For example, if they offer him the job and after this you need to say something, he will accept it. Okay, we are done with the previous one. Let's move forward. First conditional, and again formula, present simple, but in the second part is future simple, not present. So this is the difference between the first one and the 0-1. Okay, so if he doesn't hurry up, he will miss the flight. So if he doesn't, just present simple that you guys know, and he will, future simple. Both tenses are quite easy to use. Sometimes instead of if you can say when, but the sense is changed a little bit. So when indicates that the event is very likely to happen. So if you say, if I see her, I'll show you my business plan. It means, okay, you don't know for sure that you will see her. But if you say, when I see her, it's like some kind of fact. Okay, it means 100% I will meet this person, but when it happens, I don't know. So you say, when I see her, I'll show her my business plan. And this one is more likely to happen. This is a very interesting word, unless, and you can substitute two words together with this one. So unless means the same as if not. Just take this into consideration. You will be sick if you don't stop eating. That's a good sentence, but we have a better one. You will be sick unless you stop eating. So you remember that in any English sentence, in any part of some sentence, you are not allowed to use two negative parts. So unless is a negative part, because inside of this word we assume some negative thing, like if not. Yes, this is one word, but with not. Just there is no visible not, but again, that's the rule. So after unless, you cannot use not. And the same scheme, the same situation with if. After if, as far as you remember, after if you cannot use will. And the same situation is here. After unless, you also cannot use will. So you will be sick unless you stop eating. And if you translate this sentence into the Ukrainian language, again, you will understand that this one is, both parts, they are in future, Ukrainian future, and they are negative. But in English, there is only one in future and only one which is negative. Quite a difference, right? There are more words using which you can substitute if. Provided, providing, as long as, and in case, Supposed. So we are going skiing next week as long as there is enough snow, or providing there is enough snow, or provided. Yes, that's weird, but if has a lot of friends and you can use their help, because uh, everyone knows about if, but what about providing? So remember this. Next one, second, and indicates unreal events in the present or events in the future with a low probability, almost impossible dreams, wishes, expectations. So, in other words, hypothetical situations. If I won the lottery, I would give all the money to the army. Do you really believe that that's too easy? That's easy to win the lottery, especially such amount of money for buying some car or flat? Of course not. Maybe it happens, but I don't know for whom. So, if I won the lottery, I would give. Talking about not formula but sense. This sentence sounds like impossible, right? Because it's not easy to win the lottery. So you say this in the second conditional sentence. And again, talking about formula, let me demonstrate you the next slide. If plus past simple plus subjunctive mood, or just would and the bare infinitive. If I met our president, I would say thank you. Okay, that's not easy to meet a president. Not every day it happens. So hypothetical action, hypothetical event. Met, the second form of the word meet, so past simple, and would and bare infinitive, would say. So if I met our president, I'd say thank you. Another strange rule. In a subordinate clause, the verb to be in the past tense is used only in the plural, were, not was, even when the subject is singular. Do you understand what's going on? So, if you are just using some past simple, you say, when I was a child, when I was, but in the second conditional sentence, you won't use was with I or she or he or it. This is how it works. If I were you, I would travel more, not if I was you. Maybe that's correct, you remember I was, but just in this situation, just in the second conditional. But in general, of course, the rule says you need to use was with the singular, pronouns. So, but in this case, if I were you. Okay, remember. Third one indicates an event that could happen under a certain condition but didn't happen in the past. So, one missing part of this presentation is probability. Just think about probability. If you said first, zero conditional sentence, the probability that something happens is 100% because you are talking about facts. First conditional sentence, the probability if this action you are describing happens, so the probability is 50%, just approximately 50. Second, hypothetical action, let's say 5 to 10%. And third conditional sentence, the probability is 0%. Why 0? Because you are talking about past, and you cannot change the past because it happened. It happened. So there is no way it happens again in the past. It can happen, it can, but not in the past. So probability is 0. So she would have become a teacher if she had gone to university. But now, let's say, imagine this girl here, let's say 40 years old. And if she's 40 years old, there's no way she goes to the university again because she's too old for this educational process. Sorry. Yeah, sometimes it happens. Like people, middle-aged people, they go to universities, but anyway, just imagine. So it happened in the past. So she's no teacher right now. She isn't a teacher, and the reason of it is what? Because she didn't learn this stuff at the university. So formula: if plus past perfect. Past perfect is had and verb in the third form plus would plus have. Just remember these two words in a row, like one thing, and verb in the third form again. So we have two verbs in the third form in two different parts. So you would have passed the exam if you had studied harder. What do you think now? You think that okay, this person failed their exam. Why? Because the third conditional sentence describes the past action. This person hadn't paid enough attention to educational process. Oh, I don't like this word, but anyway, so process, yes. And in the result, in the past, just imagine 1 week ago, for example, this person failed an exam. So you say the sentence like this. And the same situation, you can use a modal verb. If you had wanted to pass the exam, you should have studied harder. So instead of would, you can say should, because this is an advice. This is. Can you notice the mistake? It's up to you what I said. Just think about it, and if you found it, give me a message. Okay, this one is important. Moving next. Inversion. What is inversion? We have, I think I told you about it, but anyway, interrogative word order. If you say, verb, and after this noun, so what do you have in result? Order for question. But sometimes the same order is for affirmative sentences, just sentences. And when it happens, it's called as inversion. So sometimes the interrogative word order is used in a subordinate clause, and the sentence remains affirmative. If you had studied harder, you would have passed the exam. You remember this sentence. There is another way you can say the same. Had you studied harder, you would have passed the exam. So quite the same, but without if. But anyway, this if is here, just you cannot see it. Why? Because we have another words order, and this one is correct, and some kind of emphasis. Had you studied harder, saying this sentence, you are kind of angry, and you change this words order in order to show the person you are angry, and you really want this person to hear your words, your sentence. It's possible for the two parts of a conditional sentence to refer to different times, and the resultant sentence is a mixed conditional sentence. If I had studied, I would have my driving license. Think about the sense. You can use these mixed conditionals. You can mix only the second and the third one. The second and the third one. So here's the example. If I had studied, the third, it's the subordinate part from the third one. I would have, not would have at the verb in the third form, just would have, which stands for the second. And in the result, you mean that in the past you could study harder, and now you would have this license, but it didn't happen. So structures: past plus present, past plus future. Example, explanation. If I had won the lottery, I would be rich. But I didn't win the lottery in the past, and I am not rich now. So this is the reason why you mix these conditionals, because something didn't happen in the past and the result is visible now. Or if she had signed up for the ski trip last week, she would be joining us tomorrow, but she didn't sign up for this trip last week, and she isn't going to join us tomorrow. So here you're just talking about past and future. So this is the reason you mix them. More examples, more rules. Present plus past. If I didn't have to work so much, I would have gone to the party last night. So explanation, but I have to work a lot now, and that's why I didn't go to the party last night. So vice versa, something backwards. And the same example is below. Just check this, but about future. So you have example, you have explanation, you know everything about these conditional sentences, and now you're able to mix them, but do it properly, do it accurately. Future unreal conditional, and this is the final stage of our lesson. Future past and future present. If I weren't going on my business trip next week, I would have accepted the new assignment at work. So explanation, but I'm going to go on a business trip next week, and that's why I didn't accept that new assignment at work. So the main point here is just take a screenshot and think about the sense of it. Okay, let me go back to the first slide. So I say you farewell. Here we go. Okay. So thanks a lot for watching this video. I hope you found something for yourselves. And yeah, see you next week or when we have our next lesson. Don't forget about speaking classes. And if you have questions or some writing parts or everything that is connected with English and you are not sure about something and you want to make everything clear, you know where to find me. Just give me a private message. Yes. About alias games, I think we need to play. I will give an order, so you you are about to play some interesting game shortly. Shortly, it means like soon. Okay, cheers.